Astro-Vāstu Interior Design for Pisces Rising, Mīna Lagna. A Jupiter Ketu-led water ether spatial doctrine for emotional safety, spiritual coherence, and gentle grounding for aware, empathic, and high-sensitivity individuals. What you are designing here is not a house. You are designing a sanctuary for a Jupiter Ketu-ruled life. As a Pisces rising, space either protects your sensitivity and allows inspiration to flow, or it quietly dissolves your boundaries until exhaustion, confusion, and escapism become normal. When the environment is misaligned, the symptoms are rarely loud. They are subtle and draining. Emotional overwhelm, difficulty concentrating, irregular sleep, loss of motivation, porous boundaries with people, and the feeling that you are absorbing far more than you can process. Your home must never feel harsh, noisy, or energetically porous. It must feel gentle, contained, and quietly sacred, like a place where you are allowed to soften without disappearing. From 1. First house, Lagna Zone Sanctuary Interface, Jupiter Ketu Sensitivity Field. This zone determines whether you feel safe inside your own sensitivity. The moment you enter your home, your nervous system asks, "Am I protected here, or will I have to defend myself?" If the Lagna zone feels exposed, visually loud, or energetically porous, your system immediately opens too wide. You may feel tired without reason, emotionally flooded, or subtly disoriented, even before the day begins. You must treat this area as a sanctuary threshold, not a statement space. Energy here should soften and slow down. Fast sightlines, sharp angles, or excessive openness dissolve your boundaries and pull you outward when you need to arrive inward. The visual language of this zone must calm and cushion. Soft, luminous tones, warm off-white, pearl, pale aqua, sea mist green, muted lavender, or gentle beige, support containment without heaviness. Stark whites, high contrast, or aggressive color stories fracture your inner coherence. Furniture must feel gentle, rounded, and grounding. Pieces with soft edges, natural textures, and a sense of ease support your nervous system. Anything angular, rigid, or visually demanding makes you feel emotionally exposed. Lighting here must be diffused and kind. Natural light filtered through fabric is ideal. Artificial lighting should be warm, neutral, and even. Harsh white light or dramatic shadows overstimulate you and disrupt intuition. This zone must feel like a soft landing. When aligned, you feel present without overwhelm, open without leakage, and intuitive without confusion. 2. Second house. Main entrance and threshold, energetic filter, protection without withdrawal. Your entrance governs what emotional and psychic currents enter your life. For Pisces rising, this threshold must act as a filter. If the entrance is noisy, cluttered, or energetically aggressive, you absorb emotional residue immediately. This often shows up as anxiety, fatigue, or mood shifts that don't feel like yours. You should experience this space as quiet, gentle, and protective. The act of entering must feel like crossing into safety, not exposure. Anything sharp, loud, or symbolically intense destabilizes your boundaries. Visually, the entrance should feel soft and welcoming. Natural textures, matte finishes, and light, soothing tones work best. Overly dark doors, reflective surfaces, or dramatic decor pull external energy inward too quickly. Lighting must be warm and reassuring. Shadows at the threshold create subconscious unease and hypervigilance. This is not a place for brightness or alertness. It is a place for transition and containment. The entrance must feel like a gentle buffer between worlds. When aligned, you arrive home already calmer, less porous, and more centered in yourself. 3. Third house. Living room compassionate exchange without emotional drain. This space governs how you interact with people and collective emotion. As a Pisces rising, you naturally empathize, but if this zone is overstimulating or exposed, empathy turns into depletion. You may feel emotionally exhausted after social time, even when interactions are kind. You should experience this area as open yet soft. The layout must allow connection without confrontation. Sharp sightlines, rigid seating, or overly open plans make you feel energetically seen when you need gentleness. The color atmosphere should be soothing and fluid. Soft blues, sea greens, muted neutrals, pale lilac, warm cream. Avoid bold patterns, high contrast, or visually busy decor. Visual noise drains your emotional reserves quickly. Furniture should invite closeness without pressure. Rounded seating, soft upholstery, and arrangements that feel embracing support you best. Hard edges or overly minimal layouts create emotional insecurity. Lighting must be layered and warm. Floor lamps and table lamps are preferable to harsh overhead lights. You need emotional pacing in light. When aligned, connection feels nourishing, compassion flows without sacrifice, and you remain present without losing yourself. 4. Fourth house. Inner core emotional safety, rest, and spiritual grounding. This is the most critical zone for Pisces rising. If this space is wrong, you have nowhere to fully let go. You may sleep poorly, dissociate, or retreat into fantasy simply to cope. Emotional safety for you comes from gentleness and predictability, not stimulation or intensity. You must design this zone to feel deeply familiar and emotionally holding. Visual simplicity here is not emptiness, it is protection. Soft earth-water tones work best: sand, clay, pale taupe, seafoam, warm beige, muted rose. Furniture must feel comforting and known. This is not a place for experimental design. This is where your emotional body exhales. Pieces should feel supportive, soft, and reliable. Lighting should be warm, steady, and low stimulation. Flicker, color-changing lights, or dramatic contrast disrupt your ability to rest. Candles are supportive if they feel soothing rather than ritualistic. Personal objects here should soothe rather than trigger memory loops. Items that evoke safety, continuity, or spiritual calm belong here. Too many emotionally charged items create overwhelm. When aligned, this zone allows you to rest without escaping, soften without dissolving, and feel spiritually held without losing grounding. 5. Fifth house. Inspiration, creativity, and gentle joy. Imagination without escape. This zone governs how your creativity flows and whether it nourishes you or pulls you away from yourself. As a Pisces rising, inspiration is subtle, intuitive, and fluid. It does not respond well to pressure, performance, or expectation. If this space feels demanding, dramatic, or overly aesthetic, creativity collapses into avoidance, fantasy, or emotional numbness. You must experience this area as safe for imagination without obligation. The moment creativity is expected to produce, your inner current recedes. This space should feel permissive, soft, and quietly alive. The visual atmosphere should feel dreamy but grounded. Soft aqua, seafoam, pale lavender, pearl white, muted blush, or gentle sand tones. These colors allow inspiration to arise naturally rather than spike and disappear. Furniture should be light, comfortable, and flexible. Floor seating, soft chairs, cushions, or simple creative surfaces work better than rigid desks or precious decor. Anything too formal blocks flow. Lighting must be diffused and forgiving. Inspiration for you arrives in softened light, not brightness. Harsh lighting breaks the imaginative state. When aligned, creativity feels renewing rather than draining. Joy returns quietly, and imagination becomes a source of nourishment instead of escape. 6. Sixth house. Kitchen and emotional regulation, nourishment without overstimulation. For Pisces rising, daily routine is not about discipline, it is about emotional stabilization. This zone determines whether your sensitivity feels supported or overwhelmed. If the kitchen is chaotic, visually noisy, or emotionally charged, anxiety increases and energy drains quickly. You may feel tired after simple tasks without knowing why. You must experience this space as calm, predictable, and emotionally neutral. The kitchen should feel like a gentle rhythm, not a sensory assault. Colors here should be soft and grounding: warm cream, pale yellow, muted sage, light aqua, soft wood tones. Stark white or dark, heavy colors destabilize you. Layout must feel intuitive and easy. Everything you use regularly should be accessible without effort. Struggle here translates directly into emotional fatigue. Lighting should be warm but clear. Shadows over preparation areas subtly disrupt digestion and mood. When aligned, nourishment stabilizes emotions, routines feel supportive rather than draining, and daily life stops feeling overwhelming. 7th house. Master bedroom soul restoration without dissolution. This is one of the most important zones for Pisces rising. If this space is emotionally porous or energetically noisy, you never truly rest. Sensitivity remains on, even during sleep. This leads to exhaustion, emotional leakage, and blurred boundaries in relationships. You must design this space as a container for rest, not intimacy performance or emotional processing. Softness here must be grounding, not dissolving. The color palette should be calming and protective. Soft gray, pale blue, misty lavender, warm off-white, gentle taupe. Avoid intense romance colors or dramatic contrasts. The bed must feel supportive and secure. A solid headboard is essential. It gives your psyche something to rest against. Overly light or floating bed designs increase instability. Lighting must be low, indirect, and soothing. No harsh overhead lights. Lamps with fabric shades work best. This space must feel emotionally quiet. When aligned, sleep deepens, emotional boundaries restore themselves, and compassion stops costing you rest. 8th house, storage, emotional memory, and subtle residue release without grief. This zone governs what you carry subconsciously, emotions, memories, impressions that never fully left. Pisces rising absorbs more than it realizes. Clutter here becomes emotional weight. Forgotten items quietly hold old feelings, creating heaviness, sadness, or confusion without a clear source. You must keep this area contained, clean, and regularly cleared. Open storage or forgotten boxes amplify psychic noise. Colors should be neutral and quiet. Off-white, soft gray, pale beige. Avoid dramatic or emotionally charged tones. This is not a memory vault. Objects stored here must be functional or consciously chosen. Holding on to items because they feel meaningful without readiness keeps you emotionally stuck. When aligned, emotional residue releases gently, intuition sharpens, and inner clarity returns without effort. 9. 9th house, faith, meaning, and gentle orientation, belief without losing ground. This zone governs how you relate to meaning, spirituality, and trust in life itself. As a Pisces rising, faith is innate, but it can dissolve into confusion if this space is vague, cluttered, or overly symbolic. When the 9th house is misaligned, belief becomes escapism, spirituality becomes fantasy, and guidance feels scattered rather than grounding. You must experience this area as quietly orienting, not overwhelming. Meaning should feel present but not loud. This is not a place for preaching, grand symbolism, or spiritual excess. Too much meaning here actually destabilizes you. The visual tone should be light, spacious, and calm. Soft ivory, pale gold, gentle sky blue, muted lilac, or warm off-white. These colors allow faith to feel reassuring rather than intoxicating. Furniture should support contemplation and learning without intensity. A simple chair, a reading surface, or an uncluttered shelf is enough. Overloading this zone with books, icons, or symbols fractures coherence. Lighting must be clear but gentle. Dimness here breeds doubt. Harsh light disrupts intuition. When aligned, belief feels lived rather than imagined, intuition feels trustworthy, and direction emerges quietly without force. 10th house, service, contribution, and gentle authority, purpose without burnout. This zone governs how you offer yourself to the world. For Pisces rising, work must feel meaningful or it becomes draining very quickly. If this space is competitive, harsh, or overly performance-driven, you may withdraw, procrastinate, or feel quietly defeated, even when capable. You must experience this area as humane, calm, and purpose-aligned. Contribution should feel like service, not self-sacrifice. Colors should be soft but steady. Light gray, pale blue, muted green, warm beige. Avoid aggressive palettes that trigger comparison or pressure. Furniture should feel supportive and simple. This is not a power display zone. It is where compassion is organized into contribution. Lighting must be steady and clear. Poor lighting here drains motivation and increases self-doubt. When aligned, purpose feels gentle, authority feels kind, and work nourishes rather than depletes you. 11th house, collective compassion and support, belonging without absorption. This zone governs your relationship with community, humanity, and shared ideals. Pisces rising longs to belong, but if this space is emotionally dense or chaotic, you may absorb collective pain and lose yourself in it. Misalignment here leads to compassion fatigue, withdrawal, or idealism without boundaries. You must experience this area as open yet contained. Community energy should feel uplifting, not consuming. Colors should remain light and soothing. Soft aqua, pale green, pearl, off-white. Avoid emotionally intense tones. Furniture and layout should feel inclusive but spacious. Crowded arrangements make you feel responsible for everyone's emotional state. This space must not demand constant engagement. When aligned, connection feels nourishing, hope renews naturally, and compassion flows without self-erasure. 12th house, surrender, healing, and inner ocean rest without disappearing. This is the most sacred zone for Pisces rising. Here you learn the core lesson. You can surrender without dissolving. If this space is cluttered, emotionally charged, or overstimulating, rest turns into escapism and healing never completes. You may feel sleepy but unrested, peaceful but ungrounded. You must design this zone to feel empty, quiet, and gentle. Soft grays, warm off-white, pale blue, or misty beige work best. Furniture should be minimal and unobtrusive. This is not a storage or symbolism zone. It is a pause. Lighting must be indirect and soft. Darkness creates fear. Harsh light disrupts surrender. Only one neutral, calming object belongs here. Nothing emotionally loaded, nothing symbolic. When aligned, sleep deepens, emotional boundaries restore themselves, intuition clarifies, and peace arises without loss of self. This is not retreat. This is restoration.